back to my channel, and today I'll be talking about the time that I was almost basically given a special chocolate. And if you know what special chocolate means, you already know what I'm trying to say. So basically, I used to go to a school, and the school was not that good. It was honestly just so ghetto, so ratchet. It was literally constant drug use, constant fighting. Like, I would literally be in the hallway, and they would literally start having fights and stuff. And it was so well known to the point where I used to be in a science class and my teacher was like, "Oh, if there's a fight, please don't go outside because I don't want y'all bringing the fights into the classroom and stuff like that." And when she said that, I was like shocked because it's like it's really that bad. Like it was to the point where you could not do your work because they would just have so many fights in the hallway. And it wasn't just the hallway; it was literally the auditorium, the cafeteria. Which brings me to the next part of my story, and where I wouldn't even be able to eat in the cafeteria because there was constant fights, constant arguments, and it was just so much in that cafeteria that would go on to the point where I was like, you know what? I already know they're gonna be fighting here. I already know it's gonna be ghetto. I already know it's gonna be ratchet. I already know all that stuff is happening, so I'm gonna eat up in the classroom. And it was a point where teachers actually knew about this, so they literally allowed the kids to eat in the classroom because they didn't want anybody to get injured because they were constantly having fights and it was just getting out of hand. So they were like, okay, you can eat in the classrooms if you want to, and they would always have a teacher inside the classroom on hand, so it's easier to control it. Which brings me to the next point, like they had like the security guards in like the cafeteria to control the fights because like I said, there were constant fights. So just in case there was a fight in the cafeteria, they would have like literally two guards in there just so they could break up the fight because that's how bad it was in there. And it was just like they also had guards in the hallway. It was like you couldn't go anywhere without seeing a security guard. Like even when you're like walking into the school, there's like guards, and it was just so much guards everywhere. Like, you cannot go nowhere with no guard, like without seeing a guard anywhere. Like even when we go to the bathroom, there's a guard. Like literally, it was just that out of hand. Like the fights. Anyways, brings it back to the story. So I'm just in the classroom, just chilling and everything, just my business. And so there was this girl that walks up to us, me and my ex friend at the time. She was like, "Oh, do you guys want some chocolate and all that stuff?" And she was basically like, offering it to us. And my ex best friend is like, "No, we don't want any chocolate. We're good." And honestly, at this point, I was just like shocked because I've never actually seen this girl before, which is weird because I went to school for a year and I knew everyone that was there. Just due to the fact that the school itself was like very small and you were never allowed to go to the other schools. Like that was literally one of the rules. Like even though the school was 4-in-1 and there was 3 other schools that was literally connected to the school, you were never allowed to interact with that other school. You were never allowed to cross the same borders as that school. Like the school was literally connected to the point where like as soon as you finish going to my school, there are 3 other schools, and you were never even allowed to go there. Like, it was literally connected in a way. Like we would like go to like my yoga class, and then we would see them when we were going to the auditorium because of how connected it was, and we were literally never allowed to be around them and all that. So I'm gonna guess that she was from the other school because after this incident, I never saw her again. And if she was from that school, I would have had to see her again because like the school was so small to the point of where everybody knew each other. And I would have at least seen her in the hallway or had a class with her. Not even had a class with her, I would have seen her in the hallway or something because our school was just that small where everybody just knew each other. And she just was never like after this, I never seen her again. Like she disappeared out the face of the earth. And then it also reminds me of the point where my ex friend also did say that there was an incident before us, and it was basically some kid, and they offered him chocolate, and I think he basically got like really sick. But anyways, she told her no, even though she was like offering us, and then she basically walked back to her seat, and we never saw her ever again. And that brings me to the other point if there was like another story, and there was these 2 girls. One was in my math, and one was in my French. I'm gonna call the first girl Pen. So basically, I knew Pen because she was in like my math class and stuff. I didn't really talk to her that much. Sorry, excuse me. I mostly just talked to her if I needed help or something, but I never really, not really needed help, but I didn't really talk to her like that. I only said like a couple words there, and I guess I asked her for help one time. I'm not really sure, but yeah, and I talked to her. And the other one, I talked to more because like she was more like outgoing and she had a more like extrovert personality, and she was like super cool and she was like super nice. But at the same time, I didn't really talk to her that much because her, how do I say, she went with a different crowd that I personally would not. I wanted to keep myself grounded, and she went to a different crowd. Like she was cool, but our choices would be so different, basically. And I didn't want to mess that up and all that. So basically, what happened was that Max best friend at the time, she was telling me, she was like, "Oh, they gave pen and pencil, chocolate, and they took it, and then they got really really sick. They had to go to the hospital and all that stuff." And then I remember it hit me because I had seen both of them in the class, and they were just like super sick. Like their heads were on the table. They couldn't keep their eyes open. Like they literally looked like people put in like stuff in the stuff and gave it to her, and then put two and two together. And I was like, oh my god, they were out here putting stuff in the chocolate to like get them sick and probably ruin them and stuff like that. And it looked like they were on the verge of death. So I'm like, what the hell they could have put in that chocolate? Because like every time I heard about them stories about the chocolate and everything, it would literally be a story about them literally putting stuff in the chocolate to get them sick to the point of where like they look like they're dying. They look like they're not gonna make it. They look like they don't belong in school basically. And I really hope they caught like the people that gave them chocolate because it's kind of like why would you do that? And the fact that like they were like in 942 and stuff, and it's kind of like, jeez. And I just felt like super bad for them because it's like they probably really thought it was regular chocolate and it was not regular chocolate, and they found that on the same day. Because whenever I see them, they look like they are dying. Like they look like they're on the verge of death. Can't keep their eyes open and all that stuff. Like I'm just repeating it because like it's like it hits me because of like I just remember like seeing their faces and how like sick they were. I guess more of the story is know how to say no and don't take that type of chocolate from people. But at the same time, they were like really, really young, so I understand. But honestly, like I said, the make sure have your boundaries up. Not boundaries up, but just learn how to say no. Basically, like set your boundaries straight that align with you. I have no line with you because that should be a boundary. Don't take food from strangers, basically, and learn how to say no. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.